Greetings, we hope all is well. This is the Walking by Faith podcast hosted by Minister Larry Montgomery, Sr. and friends. Genesis 1:1, KJV, states, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." And 2 Corinthians 5:7, KJV, states, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." While Romans 10:17, KJV, says, "So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God." Which brings us to Hosea 4:6, KJV, that states, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Welcome to another episode of the Walking by Faith podcast. I am your host, Minister Larry Montgomery, Sr. The sole purpose of this podcast is to present candid discussions about various words that are found in the Bible with an eye towards defining in the context of these troubled times, along with clarity, insight, commentary, and hopefully some revelation to interested listeners. This podcast is a presentation of the Montgomery Media Group.
I will show you how to get the best spiritual protection of your life by understanding your God-given senses. Stick around. Welcome to a world where your senses are not just physical, but spiritual gateways given by God. In Dr. Larry Montgomery Sr.'s latest book, Unlock the Power of Your God-Given Senses, you'll discover how to safeguard these precious gifts. Through a collection of insightful articles and powerful Bible verses, this guide will illuminate how each sense can be a shield against sin. Imagine recognizing the divine significance of your sight, hearing, and touch, and using them to live a more righteous life. This book is more than just reading material. It's a spiritual journey. Order your copy on Amazon today and find out how to fortify your God-given gates. Your senses are a blessing. Let's unlock their heavenly power together.
This is the Walking by Faith podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Larry Montgomery Sr. And this week, we're going to be continuing our efforts in responding to a internet article entitled "The 9 Bible Verses That Are Offensive and Why." And this is written by a Jenny, Jenny, Dean, someone associated with the floppy cats, whoever they are. So we're at verse number 7 of the 9. And we start out with the same way of each article we've responded to give you the background and then to go into our response. And here we go. The Bible is a complex book with a wide range of interpretations. While many people find comfort and inspiration in its pages, there are also a number of verses that are considered to be offensive and harmful. Here is such a verse. Our verse today is set number 7 of the 9, along with an explanation of why they are considered so. This week's verse is Proverbs 31, verses 10 to 31. They go on. This passage describes the ideal woman as one who is submissive, hardworking, and obedient. She is to be a good wife and mother, and she is to put her husband's needs before her own. This passage, as explained by Jenny Dean, this passage is problematic because it promotes a narrow and unrealistic view of womanhood. It also reinforces the idea that women should be subservient to men. She concludes, "The Bible is a complex and multifaceted book, but it is important to be aware of the offensive and harmful verses that it contains. These verses can be used to justify violence, oppression, and discrimination. It is important to read the Bible critically and to be aware of the historical and cultural context in which it was written. We should also be mindful of the ways in which the Bible can be misinterpreted and used to justify harmful beliefs and behaviors. It is important to remember that the Bible is not a monolithic text, and there is a wide range of interpretations of its teachings. We should strive to read the Bible in a way that is inclusive and respectful of all people. We can also use the Bible to promote positive change. The Bible contains many messages of love, compassion, and justice. We can use these messages to challenge oppression and discrimination and to create a more just and equitable world. How nice of her to say all of those things about the Bible. You can clearly hear the disdain in my voice after reading that dissertation. This Jenny Dean person, and we'll touch on some of the points there that they've tried to argue as we go along. But first, I just want to point out that from my perspective, her effort was a waste of time and energy because it was based on some arrogant perception of what this world is, how it came to be, and where it's actually going when it ends. And so someone who, whether you believe or not, you have to ask yourself the question, why am I here? Why am I here? And this is not just about you or me, because we all interact in one way, shape, or form, whether it was in ancient times or even in modern times. And so let me try to continue to be focused here and go on to talk about what Jenny Dean has said. The passage describes the ideal woman as one who is submissive, hardworking, and obedient. She is to be a good wife and mother, and she is to put her husband's needs before her own. That's not quite what the passage said. Okay. It described a virtuous woman.
Have you ever wondered what it really means to be a woman of strength and substance? Proverbs 31 offers a timeless answer. This beloved passage paints a vivid portrait of a virtuous woman. Her qualities resonate through the ages, inspiring us even today. Let's unlock the treasures hidden within these verses. Let's discover the beauty of a life well lived. The Proverbs 31 woman is not a mythical figure. She's an example, a guidepost. She shows us the potential within every woman. Her story is an invitation. It's a call to embrace our God-given strengths and live with purpose. This remarkable woman is clothed in strength and dignity. She faces each day with courage and grace. She works with willing hands, providing for her family and helping those in need. Her words are kind, her heart is generous, but her strength goes beyond the physical. She possesses inner strength. She is confident in who she is. This woman is not afraid to use her voice. She is a wise investor, a shrewd businesswoman. She sees opportunities and seizes them. Can you imagine a Proverbs 31 woman in our modern world? She might be a CEO leading a Fortune 500 company. Maybe she's a teacher shaping young minds. She could be a stay-at-home mom, pouring her heart into her family. The point is this: her spirit transcends time and place. The Proverbs 31 woman is a woman of purpose. She uses her gifts to make a difference. She is a light in the world, shining brightly. You, dear reader, possess that same light within you. Embrace the qualities of the Proverbs 31 woman. Find strength in your faith, lead with kindness, work hard, but don't forget to rest. Use your voice to uplift others. Remember, you are special and you have a unique contribution to make. Step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. Live a life worthy of the calling you have received. You are a Proverbs 31 woman in the making.
A woman who has done certain things and has stood out in front of God, and God noted her in his Bible. It's his Bible telling us, his creation, about himself, about the things that he's done, so we could get an understanding of why we might want to continue a relationship with him. So right off the bat, there is some disjointed thinking here from this Jenny Dean's perspective. Let me go on. This passage, as she points out, is problematic because it promotes a narrow and unrealistic view of womanhood. Now, if you focus in on the word womanhood first, the rest of it makes no sense. What is womanhood? Where did it come from? How is it defined? Who thought of that word, womanhood, as if there's something separate and unique about that entity? Man was created by God first. Woman was created by God secondly, and created from the man. The man wasn't created from the woman, the first man. Okay, so this ain't personal. This is what's in the Bible. And if you have a better understanding of humanity, of men, of human beings, then you could bring that theory forth. Darwin tried it with starting out as a nucleus and developing over millions of years, and that's still something that's in a book sitting on a shelf, because it actually at the end made little or no sense. Because after those millions of years, you would think, after all of those millions and billions of nuclei or whatever, that there'd be more variations in man, and that man would have perfected man by now. That hasn't happened. Man is still a sinful creature that was created by God. Wasn't created for sin. He fell into sin because he had free will. But let me go on. As he points out in this point they're making here, this passage is problematic because it promotes a narrow and unrealistic view. Narrow and unrealistic? Well, I think what the verse said, and we're going to read that verse word for word.
Proverbs 31 verses 10 to 31 paint a vivid picture of a virtuous woman, often called the Proverbs 31 woman. This passage, likely written as a poem or song, extols her many qualities. It describes an ideal woman who is hardworking, resourceful, and wise. She is a devoted wife, a loving mother, and a successful entrepreneur. Throughout history, this passage has been both celebrated and debated. The Proverbs 31 woman is held up as a role model for women of faith. She embodies the values of diligence, generosity, and strength. Her life is a testament to the power of hard work and dedication. However, some view the passage as setting unrealistic expectations for women. The sheer volume of her accomplishments can feel overwhelming. It's important to remember the historical and cultural context of this passage. It was written in a time and place vastly different from our own. The Proverbs 31 woman's life was likely very different from the lives of modern women. Despite these differences, the passage offers valuable insights into the qualities of a godly woman. It's a reminder that women are capable of great things. The Proverbs 31 woman possesses many admirable qualities. She is praised for her strength, wisdom, and compassion. This woman is a tireless worker, managing her household with skill and efficiency. She rises early and stays up late, ensuring that her family's needs are met. She is also a savvy businesswoman, buying and selling property and managing her finances wisely. Her hands are not idle, and she uses her skills to provide for her family and to help those in need. She's generous with her time and resources, clothing the poor and giving to the needy. This woman is not only industrious, but also wise. She's described as having the law of kindness on her tongue, suggesting that her words are always thoughtful and encouraging. She is a source of strength and wisdom for her husband, who praises her for her many virtues. Her children rise up and call her blessed, a testament to her love and devotion as a mother. This woman is a shining example of a life lived in service to God and others. She embodies the values of hard work, generosity, and faith. Her story teaches us that true fulfillment comes from using our gifts to bless others. While the Proverbs 31 woman offers a powerful example of feminine strength and virtue, some aspects of the passage can feel overwhelming to modern readers. The sheer volume of her accomplishments, from running a business to sewing clothes to caring for her family, can seem impossible to replicate in today's busy world. It's important to remember that this passage is not meant to be a literal checklist for women to follow. It's a poetic description of an ideal woman, not a realistic portrayal of everyday life. Attempting to live up to this standard in its entirety can lead to feelings of inadequacy and burnout. Some scholars believe that the Proverbs 31 woman was likely wealthy and had servants to help her with her many responsibilities. This context is important to consider when interpreting the passage. It's not fair or realistic to expect modern women to achieve the same level of productivity without similar support systems. It's also worth noting that the passage focuses primarily on a woman's domestic and economic contributions. Despite these potential drawbacks, the Proverbs 31 woman can still serve as a source of inspiration for women today. Instead of viewing the passage as a rigid set of rules, we can focus on the underlying principles it conveys. The Proverbs 31 woman teaches us about the importance of hard work, generosity, and using our gifts to serve God and others. We can apply these principles to our own lives, regardless of our circumstances. We can strive to be women of strength and wisdom, using our unique talents and abilities to make a difference in the world. Instead of trying to do it all, we can prioritize the things that matter most to us and delegate or outsource tasks when possible. The Proverbs 31 woman reminds us that true fulfillment comes from living a life of purpose and service. By focusing on the positive attributes of the Proverbs 31 woman and adapting her example to our own lives, we can find inspiration and encouragement on our own journeys of faith. Ultimately, the Proverbs 31 woman is a symbol of the incredible potential that lies within every woman.
It's talking about a virtuous woman. If every woman in the world ever could be described as this virtuous woman, there would be no need for the word virtuous, would there? Because all women would be alike. Yes, there are men. We're not talking about men this week. We're talking about women. I'm sure that because the word virtuous was used as opposed to average or normal or everyday or modern woman or ancient woman, virtuous. So in defining virtuous, those things that stand out for one reason or another. One reason is that either they were born virtuous and they lived that life, or the other reason might be because they've worked hard at their life. They made a conscious decision to live a particular way. Now, when we take that theory and look at it, the passage is just talking about, is defining what a virtuous woman is like. It's got nothing to do with any womanhood. This is about a particular kind of woman. And yes, that definition should be narrow. Unrealistic? Well, unrealistic to who? The average woman or the not so average woman? The one woman who just ain't gonna make it, who has no concern with trying to make it, who just believes that they can't make it. Are we talking about that woman, or are we talking about a woman who has made up their mind to do something and actually did it? Let me go on. Verse 10 of the passage from Proverbs 31. Who can find a virtuous woman? Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. Verse 12. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet dark, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. Verse 16. She considereth a field, and buyeth. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girded her loins with strength, and strengthened her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. Verse 22. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen, and selleth, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Verse 25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Verse 29. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Verse 30. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Verse 31. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Now, I'm not seeing where, in this whole conversation, where this virtuous woman is somebody is representing a group of people, a hood, a womanhood-ish, if you will. It's talking to me about a particular woman. And yes, you could use that thinking to identify or screen out other women who are not like her. Now, the background to the passage, yes, it was written at a particular time and in a particular culture. But as you break down the aspects of this, the elements of it, you see that what this particular woman has done or does is quite impressive, remarkable, selfless, and something that any man or would want in a wife or any child would want in a mother. I don't see this thing about hood, womanhood. I don't see it. I don't see it as being a criticism. I don't see it as being anything that's relative to some sort of a group. It's about a particular person and what that person's mindset is and what they did. So I can't connect the dots and why someone who is rather articulate would take the time to be critical of a statement in the book of life, and to be so arrogant as to call it what? Problematic? Let me go on. Proverbs 31, 10 to 31 is a passage from the Bible that describes the attributes and qualities of a virtuous woman. The attributes and qualities. That's what the passage is talking about. It's not talking about womanhood. It offers a detailed portrayal of of an ideal woman who embodies wisdom, strength, compassion, and diligence. The verse emphasizes the importance of her role within the household, community, praising her for her industriousness, her ability to provide for her family, and her generosity towards the needy. The passage begins with by stating the rarity and value of a virtuous woman, comparing her worth to that of rubies. It highlights her trustworthiness and the unwavering support she offers to her husband, contributing to his well-being and prosperity. The text then elaborates on her various activities and from seeking wool and flax to working joyfully with her hands, suggesting her proactive and hardworking nature. This woman is depicted as someone who rises early to prepare food for her household and her maidens, indicating her dedication and care. She is also described as a savvy businesswoman who considers fields and buys them, planting vineyards with the fruits of her labor. Her strength and resilience are evident as she girds herself with courage and strengthens her arms. The passage continues to portray her as someone who perceives the value of her merchandise and works tirelessly, her candle burning late into the night. Her altruism shines through as she stretches out her hands to the poor and the needy, demonstrating her kindness and generosity. Despite the challenges of weather, she ensures her household is clothed warmly, showing her foresight and preparation. Her clothing of silk and purple signifies her grace and dignity. Her husband is represented as respected at the city gates, partly due to her contributions and support. So furthermore, she is skilled in making fine linen and selling it, and in delivering girdles to merchants, reflecting her industriousness and business acumen. Strength and honor are her garments, and she looks forward to the future with joy. Her wisdom and kindness are evident in her speech. Her vigilance over her household and avoidance of idleness highlight her responsibility and diligence. Her children and husband praise her, acknowledging her virtuous deeds and exceptional qualities. The passage concludes by stating that charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. It calls for her to be rewarded for her works and to let her achievements speak for themselves at the city gates. I can't, in all my efforts, connect that description of a woman, a person who has decided to go above and beyond the average person, to be more than any other person to someone else, as being problematic or offensive or harmful. If there's no understanding of the measuring rod of life, meaning that this is the low point, this is the high point, this is the best, this is the worst. If there's no standard there, how would we sit and understand or utilize the word virtuous? There is a standard, and the standard has been defined in the Bible as God had spoken it. And for those of us who are here and have not figured out why we're here, take a look at the Bible and it'll explain to you why you're here. It's not about you. It's not about me. Get that in your head. You could be here today, going tomorrow. And when you look back over yesterday, what do you see? What was your life about? What did you do? Any and everything for you? Did you do anything for someone else to help them make their life better? Whether it's word, deed, or even thought. Thought meaning having empathy or compassion for their situation. What have you done? And if you can't answer that question and start going down a list of things that you've done, then the question really is, when asked, why are you here? The answer should come back to you as, you shouldn't even be here because there's no need for you. This was not designed for you. It was designed for God to get glory out of you. That's what it tells us in the Bible. He created us to give him glory for what he's done. And he cares for us because he loves us because we do things that he asks us to do, and he tells us that we should do, because it's not just about us. Okay. Now, yeah, I was ranting and raving, but I want to make the point. This life is not just about me. It's not about us. It's about him and what he wants and why he started this whole thing. Because he's the only one with the power to just erase it all and not even have to blink an eye to do it. But he was kind enough to tell us there will come a time when this will all end. And at that time, we're all going to have a conversation with him personally to help him or to help us realize why we were here. Even though he told us, even though he shows us, even though he left it for us to read, the Bible is one of the most read books ever. You may not want to read it, but you've read something in it. Whether it was in the actual Bible, or posted somewhere, or someone quoted it. You heard about it. So you'll have absolutely no excuse when you have that conversation with them about what you knew or what you didn't know. But I'm not going to be mean to you and just give you the downside of life, because life in the hereafter is going to be way better than what it is or what it was here in the land of the living. Because living people do things that living people do. And if you don't know much about what people do, you might want to take a look at the Facebook you're looking at. Okay? You can see it fresh and all the way live. So let me conclude. The passage, Proverbs 31, 10 to 31, describes the ideal woman as one who is submissive, hardworking, and obedient. Unfortunately, yet again, the author, this Jenny Dean, is judging a passage that she has either never read or certainly never understood. The passage clearly refers to a virtuous woman, not a mere or average woman. Specifically to a woman God has defined as an exceptional woman. The author goes on to describe this woman as good wife and mother, and that she is to put her husband's needs before her own. You want to marry a man and you want that man to serve you, and he does, that's your business. You want to marry a man and you don't even think to share in the serving, can't say much about that relationship. But you want to marry a man that will honor and respect you because you are his helpmate. That's a perspective from a godly woman. Everything else, there's no middle ground. I'm not saying you're evil, but if you're not godly, go figure. The author goes on to describe this woman as good wife and mother, and that she is to put her husband's needs before her own. That was and is this woman's decision to make and to do so. The author states that all that which is identified in the full context of the verse is problematic because it promotes a narrow and unrealistic view of womanhood. Why don't you try it for a year or two and then come back and let us know how it worked out? That is true, because if every woman on earth did what this woman, as described by the full context, did, then the mere definition of virtuous would be of no value. Next, the author goes on to point out that the choices made by this virtuous woman reinforced the idea that women should be subservient to men. Reinforced the idea that women should be subservient to men. We had this conversation earlier. Man was created first, and woman was created from man as a helpmate. What do you think your position is? And if you had any authority to redefine it when you're standing in front of God in those final moments, explain to him where you got the authority to determine what he said was right or wrong. Let me know how that works out for you. So, finally, I am sorry, but I cannot connect the two thoughts. I cannot see why someone's choice to go above and beyond the average would promote anything of a negative nature. Just because a woman decides to work hard at making both her family, which would mean her children and her husband, comfortable and happy, does not necessarily mean that all women should or must do the same, or even that she is subservient to men. We are not even talking about men as a whole. We are merely talking about that woman's husband. Thinking like that is found in the "it's all about me" attitude that today's society and culture is spewing. That's today's society. Yesterday's society, tomorrow's society, whatever it decides to do, whatever it feels is appropriate, that time span is going to end. And when it ends, we're going to be in God's time span. And he ain't taking nobody in there with him unless they think like him. So you know where you're going. Since when has it become all-consuming that everything in our lives is only about our satisfaction and never about anyone else's that we may want that or have in our lives? If it's all about you, there's nothing about you that's in God, because God created you for his purposes, not yours. I don't think that wanting my children or my wife to be comfortable and safe is merely a Christian thing, nor do I think that those things are limited to be considered godly things. But I can see how that kind of thinking is surely a selfish thing and an ungodly thing. And that concludes this week's discussion. Next week, we're going to go to the 8th verse in Miss Jenny Dean's dissertation and see how that turns out. Until then, God bless, and I'll see you again, God willing, and the creek don't rise.
Why? By crossing the bridge to fatherhood. Hosea 4:6 KJV tells us that my people perish for lack of knowledge. In today's culture, that statement seems to become truer by the day when it comes to black children. When we look at the impact of fatherlessness on the black family household over the last 30 years, we see the culmination of all of our culture's efforts to disparage black people through the breaking down of our most basic stronghold, our family unit. Today's culture has used and misused black men almost since the day we arrived in America. We have been abused, enslaved, blamed, and accused for everything from being lazy when they don't fairly employ us, to physically abusing us when we excel, enslaving us to do what they should have done for themselves and more. This American culture we live in has incarcerated us, experimented on us, and designed a separate definition to us. And as soon as we start complying with this designated new nature, they blame us for not succeeding and causing fear and distrust in the very same culture we find ourselves discouraged to be a part of. So what do we need to overcome this brainwashing, you ask? We need to return to our roots. We need to get back to being the kings and queens we once were. We need direction from God. Good news is that He has already given us the directions we need. The guide to crossing the bridge to fatherhood is just Thanks be to God. You have been listening to another episode of the Walking by Faith podcast hosted by Minister Larry Montgomery, Sr. and friends. Join us again next time as we continue to labor in this vineyard with an eye towards bringing the words of God to those who are interested. Remember, the sole purpose of this podcast is to present candid discussions about various words that are found in the Bible with an eye towards defining in the context of these troubled times, along with clarity, insight, commentary, and hopefully some revelation to interested listeners. This podcast is a presentation of the Montgomery Media Group.tv and can be found on most podcast platforms. Video presentations are available on YouTube, the African American Shopping Network channel. This show is sponsored by The Author's Corner. Online. Please like us and follow us on Facebook. May God continue to bless you and yours until next time. God bless.